Alright, let's do this.
What's up, everybody? My name is Bryce, aka DubsNotSubs, and in today's video, we're going to be going over a Whiskers Away by Marie Okada. Now, it's been a while since I've done a Lex talk about, so I'm excited to get back into it. I always love doing these kind of videos, and if you guys want to see what kind of future videos I'm working on, make sure to follow me on Twitter, because I kind of post on that all the time, and then you guys get to see the kind of the new stuff I'm working on, and also the crazy-ass things I say on there. But anyway, guys, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel that I deserved it. Let's get into the video now. Now, this story follows Mio, whose family has divorced, and her dad has remarried, and she just goes to school, and she has a normal life besides that. She has a crush on somebody at her school named Hinode. Now, as this progresses, we start to see that Mio has a fake smile that she puts on. She likes to pretend that she's okay, and just pretends everything is alright, but as we see more and more what happens, and that she also has this power as a kid, a mysterious cat shows up and gives her a mask that allows her to transform into a cat. Now, this ends up leading into stuff later into the story, and I don't want to get into all that because I want to not spoil too much for it, but there will be spoilers throughout this. And anyway, what we get to see is that she has the ability to turn to a cat. And now the boy that she likes, named Hinode, has a standoffish personality, and he seems to not like Hinode and all the kind of pushiness and in his face kind of stuff she is on him, because she is very open about how she likes him, even though she hasn't like straight up said I love you. That comes in more later into the story and all this. But basically what happens is Mio projects onto Hinode that basically if she finds love in him, that everything will be okay. And this ends up leading into more of the escapism that happens later in the story. So what happens is we see after just a normal day of high school that she goes home and ends up changing into a cat and goes to see Hinode. And this is how she progresses her relationship. She ends up spending the day with not Haru. That's the name of the cat, and actually the name of the cat's Taro. I keep on saying it wrong. Anyway, she goes and ends up hanging out with him as the cat, and he doesn't obviously know this, so she ends up progressing this relationship and learning more and more about him, and just progressing and almost projecting all her feelings, like I said, onto him. Like, has all these amazing things and almost puts him on a pedestal, and just puts too much of a focus on him, and this ends up later in the story with her putting all her feelings into this note, and something happens where somebody reads it in front of the entire class, and then Hinode basically says that he hates her, and it's just in a fit of rage. You know, dumb kids do dumb things and say things that they don't really mean. This ends up really hurting her, and then she finally ends up telling the storekeeper that she doesn't want to be a human anymore, so she basically gives up her human mask and almost becomes to start into a full cat. Now, into the actual escapism parts of this, she has a problem with how her mom abandoned her as a child and her new family that she is involved in. Her family is something that she feels that is being forced on her, and something that she has to just accept and be okay with, even though she's not. And also the kind of things that she also gets bullied for when she was a kid, that she was, because her mom left her, as I said, she ends up getting bullied as a grade schooler, and then only one of her friends ends up sticking with her, and she basically ends up putting on a mask in real life of saying that she's okay, and when she's really not, and she has all these other problems, and everybody else sees how this just outside personality and ends up thinking that that's her. That's what they perceive as her real self. But in actuality, she has all these inner struggles and personalities with both the relationship with her parents, her new mom, and then her old mom, and the whole thing with that. So what happens later in the story is her stepmom comes in and asks her what's the problem and if she's uncomfortable around her, and asks her to stop putting on this fake smile. And basically this ends up making her explode and just finally snap, and all this built up rage that she has inside her finally comes out, and then she just blows up and ends up running away. And this leads on to more of the story. I'm trying to keep some of it away from you guys, but obviously to talk about this I gotta talk about the entire movie. So what happens is this is before she ends up giving up her human self, and she ends up seeing, after becoming a cat and deciding to give up her human face, all the people that truly cared for her. First, we get to see her parents that are looking for her stepmom, and her dad, and also her real mom ends up re-showing back up in the story, which is a bit weird. And also the kids at school who end up, the three people in here, Hinode's friend, and then Mio's friend, all end up looking for her. And then she ends up seeing all the people who truly cared for her, and the people who truly meant a lot to her throughout the story that she didn't really notice, because like the Passenger song, you never know you love her till you let her go. You never really you can truly tell who really likes you, but in this case, she didn't truly know what the repercussions for her actions were. Once she decided to give up being a cat, she ends up throwing away all the people who truly cared for her, both her stepmom and her dad, who, even though she has this broken relationship with her stepmom's trying to get closer to her. She's trying to just be a mom to her. And then you have her friend, obviously, who means a lot to her, and it doesn't seem like her friend has any other friends than her, and it also doesn't seem like Mio has any other friends than her either. But you also have Hinode, who said that he hated her within the story, but he ends up realizing what he said and the damage that he caused with this, and just regretting his actions and knowing that he made a mistake and that he needed to rectify it and basically fix what he did wrong. But at the same time, it makes sense for why he kind of snapped, because what happens is, like I said earlier, with Mio projecting all this stuff onto him, she ends up just ending up with this whole lot of stress in him. Like, just, he keeps on getting smothered and smothered by compliments and just love affection and all this on him, and he just keeps on getting more and more stress. It's interesting, because yesterday I actually got a recommendation from Etika, rest in peace. It was a video on Etika giving love advice, and he was talking about push and pull, and he was saying that you can't have all push and you can't have all pull. And the thing is, with Hina, it's not Hina, Mio, it's always pull. It was always, wait, was it? Yeah, I think it was pull. Pull is compliments and push is like not compliments and just basically not being cool with them. But basically, it was all either one of those. It was all compliments and all just how great he was and all this. And basically, it just built up stress and stress and stress until the point she was like, stop, I can't take this anymore. But in the end, she realized that she wasn't doing this to be mean, and she wasn't doing, not that he thought it was to be mean, but it's just because he wasn't smothering her. When he finally learns about all her problems and the things she has going on in her life, he begins to realize why she was actually doing this and why she was actually putting all these feelings onto him, and it starts to make sense. But in the same time, Hinode also has his own problems with his grandpa's store ending up clothing him, and his own personal struggle of him wanting to say what he wanted to, but couldn't do it because he wasn't confident enough in himself, which was super relatable to me. And a lot of these things in the story are very personal to me, and that's part of the reason why I love it so much, is because it just explores a lot of things that are personal within me, and I think a lot of other people with this wanting to becoming somebody else and just wanting this easier life. I've had the thought of like looking at a dog or a cat and be like, man, wouldn't it just be easier to be an animal and not have to worry about something like this, or like real world struggles and all this kind of stuff? And you like to escape, but in reality you can't. But at the same time, even if you got what you wished for, you don't know what you're truly affecting, the people you truly impact, and just the overall effect that decision could have on somebody. The same thing with something like, this is going to get really dark, so if you want to skip this segment, I'll put a timestamp when I stop talking about it, because it's going to get pretty dark. It's the same thing with suicide. When you decide to do that, you don't truly know who you're affecting, because you're at the darkest point in your life. You're at this point where you can't think logically, or you're not thinking logically. You're just super depressed. Everything is going so bad and horrible that you don't know what else to do, and you just feel like you need to end it all. But you don't know the people that you can impact and the true people who truly care for you that you'll end up hurting by making this decision. I hope that makes sense, and I'm not really the clearest about that. I'm not the best at explaining things, so I hope that made sense. I don't want to go too deep and too hard into this whole dark topic, because I want to keep this video at least a little bit lighthearted, and I think a lot of people have had these kind of thoughts, I mean, including myself, I said that wrong, including myself, yes, like, I've had the thought, but I wouldn't do it for a lot of different reasons, and I think a lot of people, you just get to dark times in life, like everybody does, and you end up doing things and thinking things that maybe you regret later in life, and you do end up doing things that are stupid. Like Hinode saying that he hates Mio, when he truly doesn't say that, but built up stress and this built up in the moment feeling, he says it and ends up regretting it later. I feel like people can do that in any age group, even though it's in high school. It's not to say that an adult can't do it either. Let's not act like we're better than a child, because even though we grow up and end up have the figure and body of an adult, we're all acting like 13-year-olds let's be real. But the escapism in here, we get to see like I said, the impact of what she has on other people and the people who truly care for her, how this affected her. And even the funny thing is, we also get to see the effect that that animals have on us, because what happens is, when she gives up her human face, it ends up getting sold off to the cat who is Mio's stepmom's cat that she grew up with, and we get to see when she ends up disappearing, the cat, how it affects Mio's stepmom, and how she keeps looking for a cat, and how she just kind of seems lost without her. And we get to see how we feel about our animals, which is so true. Like, when you lose an animal, or when an animal passes, or something like that, how broken you feel, and almost more so when you see somebody in a movie, when you see someone in a movie die, you don't really care that much, but when that dog dies, my God, when that dog dies, things get real. So I like so much about this movie, and I think there's so much that it does right, and the escapism, and it shows the way that how we all just want to get away, and the struggles and different things that could be going into why we want to escape. And we also get to see other people within the story who also decide to make the decision to give up their life of being a human and become a cat, and why they may be left, and the kind of things, and if they regretted it, what happens, and after you make this decision, where the point of no return happens. And just so much in this movie does right with this whole concept of wanting to run away. And also at the end of the day, how it talks about, which I completely agree with, is the whole concept of no matter how much you run away, at the end of the day, the best way to solve a problem is by facing it head on. And I do believe that is the best way to solve a problem. Running away, even though at sometimes may be the best choice, you can't run away forever. You can't go from your problems and decide that you're never going to deal with them, that you'll just push them off forever, and that you're never going to have to face them. The best way to solve a problem and to progress as a person is to face your problems and to overcome them, even though it might seem hard, even though you don't want to do it, even though it's going to suck. It's going to suck balls. You have to face it, because that's the only way to truly progress as a human being. And to get into a point in a life where you're truly happy with yourself, you're going to have to overcome your demons. You're going to have to overcome these things in life that you truly don't want to face. But at the end of the day, the darkest night brings the brightest dawn. You have to, once you go through this horrible part and progress yourself, even though change is hard and change seems impossible. Like, think of like when you're learning a new thing. Do you think at the end of the day, maybe if you learned a new language or you learned an instrument, do you think when you started that, or do you think when people who started that were perfect at the beginning? No, they had to go through this ugly phase of them struggling and not progressing at all, and just overcome that and finally get to the point where they are. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither are great people. So, at the end of the day, even though escaping and running away might seem like a good option, and at some points it is a good option, you can't just immediately force something that isn't there. Sometimes you need to fall back, retreat, think about what happened logically, and then come back and face it head on, full of confidence, and ready to conquer it. And Whiskers Away overall was absolutely amazing. I love this movie so much. Top 5 of all time. I am going to say that. Marie Okada has killed it again. She is perfect. I mean, this soundtrack, Yoroshika is one of the bands that are on here, and their songs on here are top tier. And throughout it, even every other song on here is so amazing. I love the soundtrack in this. Colorado, also with the animation, is so damn good. It is so well done, and I love it so much. There is so much of this movie does right to a perfect degree, and how it portrays the characters, the development of the characters. Not every character gets a perfect development, but the focus on the characters is Hinode and Mio, and they also progress very well. I also really like the side characters, like the stepmom. She seems very real. She's just trying to be a mom. She's just trying to fit that broken relationship that trying to fill that broken relationship that her mom left, and just trying to fix that and patch up a relationship that she's trying to almost force in and create. But overall, the series is so good. From the music, characters, to the pacing, everything about it is so good. I will give this movie a 9. It is not I said perfect, but it is not 100% perfect. It does so much right, and it is close to perfect, but not there. Like I said, top 5 movie of all time, in my opinion, and I 100% recommend this movie. This is a fantastic slice-of-life series. It does have a Ghibli feel to it. Also, is very Marie Okada, but with some of the supernatural stuff that gets into it, and also later on in the actual movie, it does get very kind of Ghibli-like with the setting, but it's such a great film, and I recommend it. And anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in another video.